a potential boycott of the 2026 World Cup.
They're boycotting the upcoming World Cup games in the U.S.
England and Scotland to boycott the 2026 FIFA World Cup that is set to be co-hosted by the United States.
The world was supposed to be counting down to goals, anthems, and unforgettable nights under bright summer skies. Instead, it is counting signatures on petitions, statements from politicians, and warnings from figures who once ran the game itself. 5 months before the opening whistle, the 2026 World Cup is no longer just a football tournament. It has become a global argument. A celebration meant to unite billions is now surrounded by anger, fear, and a growing question that refuses to go away. Can the world's biggest sporting event take place without becoming a political weapon? For decades, football sold itself as neutral ground. 90 minutes where borders faded, languages mixed, and flags waved in peace. But as the countdown to 2026 accelerates, that promise is being tested harder than ever before. Across Europe, calls for a boycott are no longer coming from fringe activists. They are being spoken openly in parliaments, debated on national television, and argued over in homes and stadiums. What should have been a festival of sport is now entangled with immigration crackdowns, military action, and a sense that the game is being pulled into something far bigger than itself. The 2026 World Cup was designed to be historic. For the first time, it will span 3 nations. For the first time, 48 teams will compete across 104 matches, expanding football's reach to more countries than ever before. FIFA presented it as a bold new era, a symbol of growth and inclusion. But the closer it gets, the more fragile that image looks. Excitement has been replaced by uncertainty. Anticipation has been replaced by debate. In the Netherlands, more than 150,000 people signed a petition urging their national team to boycott the tournament. The argument was simple but powerful. Participation could turn players into unwilling symbols inside a political spectacle. The Dutch Football Association refused to commit to withdrawal, choosing instead to monitor developments. But the message was already clear. This was not a passing controversy, it was a fracture. Germany soon found itself facing the same tension. A senior lawmaker publicly suggested reconsidering participation. Inside German football, voices grew restless. While the federation officially rejected a boycott for now, prominent figures admitted the discussion was far from over. A national survey revealed that nearly half of respondents would support a boycott if certain geopolitical threats became reality. The result stunned many, not because of the scenario itself, but because it showed how deeply global politics had seeped into sporting culture. Elsewhere in Europe, reactions varied, but unease was universal. France took a cautious stance, insisting a boycott was not currently on the table. Belgium focused on preparation and avoided political commentary. In the United Kingdom, the debate turned explosive. Members of Parliament called for England, Scotland, and Wales to withdraw, arguing that public embarrassment on a global stage might be the only way to send a message. Some went further, suggesting hosting duties should be shifted away entirely. This moment feels different because the debate is not limited to sport. Former football power brokers, long silent, have stepped back into the conversation. Calls for fans to avoid traveling to the tournament have gained traction. When figures who once controlled the game begin warning supporters to stay away, it signals something deeper than routine controversy. At the center of the backlash lies fear over who will be allowed through the gates at all. Immigration policy has become a defining concern. Expanded travel bans and stricter visa scrutiny have cast a shadow over the tournament. During preparations for earlier competitions, officials from certain nations reportedly struggled to secure entry. Incidents involving asylum seekers detained near major stadiums intensified anxiety. For fans traveling from Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, the excitement of attending a World Cup has been replaced by a chilling question. Will we be welcomed, or will we be stopped? Yet immigration is only part of the story. The real rupture comes from geopolitics. Over the past year, rhetoric turned increasingly aggressive. Threats of territorial expansion, economic punishment, and even military force became part of daily headlines. What once sounded like political theater began to feel dangerously real when words turned into action. That tension reached a breaking point with a dramatic military operation in Venezuela. A sitting head of state was captured and flown to the United States for trial. Dozens of soldiers were reportedly killed. The United States announced it would take control of administration. Supporters framed it as decisive leadership. Critics described it as a violation of international norms and a precedent that could destabilize global order. The world watched, divided and uneasy. Against that backdrop, the World Cup began to feel less like a football tournament and more like a stage. A White House task force was created specifically for the event. Senior political figures were placed in charge. Football's governing body became a frequent presence in political spaces. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. Then came the images that cemented public perception: a major club tournament final, a trophy kept in a political office, players handed replicas while the original stayed behind, a podium crowded with power rather than celebration, medals pocketed, awkward glances from athletes who did not know where to look. The footage spread instantly, reinforcing the belief that football's most sacred moments were being folded into a political narrative. The leadership of world football did little to calm fears. Public praise, shared appearances, new offices in symbolic locations, and awards created on the fly all fueled suspicion. When it was announced that the World Cup trophy itself would be presented by a sitting president, critics saw confirmation of what they feared all along. The game was no longer standing apart. It was standing alongside. For many in Europe, the concern is not theoretical. Every kickoff risks being read as endorsement. Every anthem risks becoming part of a broader message. The fear is not that football and politics intersect, because history proves they always have. The fear is that the line between celebration and propaganda is vanishing entirely. History offers painful reminders. In 1980, athletes lost their only Olympic chance due to boycott. In 1978, a World Cup unfolded under dictatorship, forcing players to question their role. More recently, tournaments went ahead despite annexations, labor abuses, and human rights controversies. Supporters of the 2026 tournament argue that consistency matters. If the game survived those moments, they ask, why draw the line now? They also point to the scale of what is at stake. Billions in revenue, hundreds of thousands of jobs, broadcast deals signed years in advance, infrastructure already built, 78 matches scheduled across American cities. The machine is already in motion, and stopping it would be costly. Analysts suggest a full boycott remains unlikely. But numbers do not silence conscience. Canada and Mexico find themselves caught between partnership and pressure. Human rights organizations warn that mega events can easily become platforms for political messaging if safeguards fail. Behind closed doors, football executives weigh financial certainty against reputational damage. Fans argue whether silence equals complicity or survival. There are other paths besides walking away. History shows that protest can exist within participation. Players have spoken without words. Teams have used gestures to challenge authority. Clubs have transformed themselves into symbols of resistance from inside the game. Participation does not always mean submission. World Cup 2026 carries enormous weight. It will redefine the tournament forever. It promises unmatched global reach. But it also arrives at a moment of immigration fear, geopolitical instability, and unprecedented political involvement in football's highest stages. Whether teams boycott or compete, the game has already changed. This tournament will not be judged only by goals or trophies. It will be judged by whether football can pass through this moment without losing its soul. Between June and July 2026, the spotlight will not rest solely on players. It will shine on governments, institutions, and the choices they make when sport becomes power. So now the question belongs to you. Should teams refuse to participate if tensions continue to rise? Or should they step onto the pitch and use the world's biggest stage to speak to billions? Is a boycott a powerful message, or does it punish athletes who have trained their entire lives for this moment? And if the World Cup goes ahead, what does meaningful resistance truly look like? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like the video so more voices can join the conversation. Subscribe for deep dives that go beyond headlines and explore where football, politics, and global power collide. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next.